Adam Smith. He's also the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. So, Representative Smith, great to have you on and great timing for you to be here with us today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Thanks for the opportunity.
There certainly is. Thank you. And as we take a look at what's happening with these new orders of getting 3,000 troops to the southern border, is more power necessary to secure the border? Because we've been talking about all the action that's been going on so far in the last few weeks.
Look, it's concerning, and I met with the NORTHCOM commander, and he also briefed the Armed Services Committee in a classified brief last week about all of this. And look, the bottom line is if you take military personnel to the border, then what aren't they doing? What readiness are they not able to continue so that they're prepared for a bunch of different other missions? We already have, I think it's like 1,500 troops on the border. As has been reported, border crossings have dropped dramatically in the last, 6 months or so. So is this the best use of DoD resources, and what impact is it going to have on the training that our troops are supposed to do to meet the various challenges that we face across the world, from China and Russia and Iran, North Korea, and various terrorist groups? So this was not told to us this week that this was going to be happening. Like I said, met with the NORTHCOM commander just 2 days ago. We had not been told that there was going to be this additional surge of U.S. DoD troops to the border. So it's concerning to see how it fits into the overall defense plan.
You know, this is all happening, as you said, very fast. I mean, we're in the first 100 days with Trump making these changes at the border, and I'm surprised to hear you say, I mean, just 2 days ago you were having that conversation and you didn't know, but I guess that's kind of, you know, how it works, right? You don't necessarily get those plans put to you ahead of time. They just send them. But how does 3,000 new troops fold in? Where do you see this happening? How do you see this working out? What can you tell us?
I don't know at this point. I mean, typically, because keep in mind, the Department of Defense, our U.S. military, is not supposed to do domestic law enforcement. So they're not involved in apprehending people coming across the border. Typically, they provide support services, you know, intelligence, some engineering if they're building things. So we don't know at this point what these 3,000 are going to do. And believe me, having just heard this news story, I will call my staff. We'll try to find out today, but we were not told that this was in the works this week when we were briefed by the Northern Command.
Yeah, this reporting is also, I want to note, coming from the Washington Post, the report of 3,000 new troops, additional troops, heading down to the southern border. We're just getting this in the last few minutes. And, you know, one of the things that we've been talking about is the border numbers are down of crossings. Is it safe to give the Trump administration credit for that with what we've been seeing? Was that going to be happening anyway? What's your take?
Yeah, well, I think two things happened. One, you know, what was it, about 6-8 months ago, the Biden administration did finally change the asylum rules. And the numbers of border crossings were going down during like the last 6 months of the Biden administration. But look, yes, absolutely, Trump deserves some credit. He has talked tough on the border. And I think we've seen that has discouraged people from thinking that they can get across. That has absolutely contributed to the lowering of the numbers, even if I don't 100% agree with every aspect of Donald Trump's immigration policy, to be sure. But we have to be honest about it. And yes, I think his tough talk on the border has discouraged it, as well as has the policy changes that President Biden admittedly belatedly made about 6-8 months ago.
And I do want to note that we do have a special On the Border tonight at 8 p.m. with Allie Bradley and Brian Enton hosting. So this is going to tie in with all of that. I also want to ask you about how the government is basically being reshaped at this point, because thousands of federal workers have lost their livelihood. But with Elon Musk insisting this is the way to remove supposed fraud and waste from the government, taking a look at these emails that are being sent out, what's your response?
Yeah, I strongly disagree with his assessment. What he's doing has nothing to do with efficiency or effectiveness within the federal government. They're randomly firing tens of thousands of employees. And forget, for the moment, what it's doing to the employees, as you described. It is impacting the services that our constituents are receiving. A couple dozen people were laid off from the Seattle VA hospital, and that is going to reduce access to services for our veterans as a result. And in addition to the firings, they're sort of randomly randomly freezing various accounts and various grant programs. And sometimes they turn it back on and sometimes they don't. Again, at the Seattle VA, an account that was there for some basic equipment purchases and also support spending for travel for people receiving surgeries was shut off. 2-3 days later, they tried to turn it back on. So look, please remember, the federal government, the number of federal employees has remained flat for 40 years. Even as GDP has gone up, population has gone up, the real number of federal employees has been flat for 40 years. Yes, there is a lot of waste, fraud, and inefficiency in the federal government, but it has mostly to do with regulations and rules and requirements and different things. It's not really about the workforce. And also remember, all these people fired, no question has ever been asked, well, you know, are they doing a good job? Are we firing the people who are doing a good job or a bad job? No, it's just we're firing people who have been there for less than 2 years. We're whacking out huge chunks of different departments. I have seen not one bit of evidence that there's been the question asked, is this person doing a good job? What service are they providing? My goodness, if you're cutting people out of the Seattle VA who are helping veterans get surgeries and care, then I don't think you're paying too much attention to what the people are actually doing and what the benefit is to the American people.
You know, cuts happen all the time, unfortunately for some people. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No. No, I mean, this is unprecedented. I mean, they just shut down our entire foreign aid operation. They basically told the world that the United States of America is a deadbeat. All right. You know, we set up all these programs. We promised what we were going to do, and we're just pulling them. And we're causing, you know, NGOs to go bankrupt. We're causing food not to be delivered. We're causing healthcare not to be delivered. You know, the PEPFAR program in Africa is being shut down. And maybe you say, well, we don't care about foreign aid. This is all about America, right? I mean, we're supposed to make America great again. This is really what we're doing, is we're telling the rest of the world that a great America is America that doesn't give a damn about anybody else in the world but ourselves. And we will screw you any way we can for our own benefit.
Well,
is that great looks like? I hope not.
A lot of people asking at this point, how should the government combat the wasteful spending if not through downsizing agencies? What other ways are there on the table? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, go after the regulations. You know, look, when this first got set up, as you mentioned, I'm the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, biggest problem with the Pentagon is an endless list of requirements and an endless focus on process, all right? I've often joked that if I had the power of Thanos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'd snap my fingers and I'd eliminate half of all of the requirements at the Pentagon, and I don't care which half, all right? I met with the Doge when this first came up. I wanted to meet with Musk. That didn't come to pass, but I met with one of the people further down and said, here's what you should be doing if you want to make the Pentagon more efficient and more effective. Get out of the process business, get into the problem solving business. And I'll tell you, and they're also laying off a bunch of employees at the Pentagon, by the way, there's a lot of people who work at the Pentagon who would love to have that opportunity. All right, they can't be as effective at their jobs because of the rules, the regulations, and the requirements that they are saddled with. Take those off of them. Let them be innovators. Let them solve problems. And I know this is true throughout other aspects of the federal government as well, but just firing a whole bunch of people, again, without any effort to try to figure out what they're doing or whether they're good at their job, just saying if we axe some like 20% of employees, we automatically get better no matter who they are, no matter what they're doing. You know, no CEO in the world would come in and try to clean up a company doing it this way.
Well, we're going to see how that goes, and I wonder if anybody will be offered their jobs back eventually. I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Some have already.
Yeah, some have, but I mean, there could be more, right?
A bunch of people at the Nuclear Safety Organization, 300 out of the 1,800 people there, and then a couple days into it said, you know, these are the people who are trying to make sure that our nuclear weapons are protected. Hey, guys, you want to come back?
Right.
And they still haven't gotten them all back. All right. They're firing FAA people even as the near misses go up. So you don't want to find a rhyme or reason to what he's doing here that has anything to do with efficiency and effectiveness. Please, you know, reach out to me. Let me know what it is, because it sure is not evident at the moment.
And if you do get those calls, please let us know, because we would love to hear how those conversations go. And I do have to ask you about what happened at the Oval Office yesterday with Zelensky and Trump. What'd you